All right, we're back. We're continuing our interviews with the Nashville flood victims, and we're here with Frank and Valley Harrell, fellow cruisers, Delbert cruisers, who cruise with me, and the cruise that Delbert puts on every year. And so it's a small world, isn't it?
It is.
And they've been so kind to come out and tell us their story about the floods, and so just set the scene here. Tell us just what your recollections are of that evening when the floods started.
Well, the bad thing is we were out of town, so we're calling neighbors.
Wow.
We're in Memphis. We can't get back on Saturday. We took us all day Sunday to get back. The whole time we know our house is flooded. We got back just in time Sunday night to see it before the sun went down.
Wow. And it was everything was pretty much flooded by Sunday evening.
Oh yeah.
Now, was I-40 flooded? Because I was hearing reports that 40 was flooded and traffic was backed up on 40 coming in. Did y'all get that?
We had to get off at Centerville-Dixon exit
And go back
and
roads.
work our way back on Sunday.
Which was pretty scary, I guess.
Well, sure, and there's no real-time information about what was open, so you just had to head down the road and hope it was open.
So now, when you get to your house, what do you see?
Well, we live in the Wildwood subdivision in Brentwood, and we could get to the edge of the subdivision, but our street had the yellow caution tape. We couldn't even get to our street. It just looked like a big lake. But we could get to the street behind our house and sort of slosh through the neighbor's backyard, and we could actually see the water running through our kitchen. So we knew that was bad.
And it is like Class 2 rapids. It was the river running through our house.
Wow. Windows was, now how high was the water?
About 1.5 feet, 2 feet into the house.
And so you guys, thank God, I mean, it only got up that high and you weren't there, because you weren't there to save anything. If it would have gotten up any higher, you wouldn't have been there to save all the precious, irreplaceable things.
And we lost plenty.
Yeah.
But, her car was in the garage.
The next morning, the water had all receded.
So you had to go to a hotel, though, right?
Oh yeah, we went straight to a hotel, and the next morning the water receded, and we got to our house, and we drove around to the back, and we pushed the garage door opener. I thought, well, that won't work, and it did. And when the garage door opened, we had a refrigerator out in our garage, and this is how powerful water is. We all know it now. But the water had lifted the refrigerator, and it was wedged between the house and my car. And there was mud in the cup holders of my car.
Yeah,
so we knew it was bad.
Water was like
really bad.
4, maybe 5 feet deep in the garage. So car was totaled.
Yes.
Wow.
And then we walked inside our house, and the first thing you do is just slide across your floor because of all the mud and the silt.
Yeah.
And we were pretty overwhelmed and just looked around and said, what do we do first?
And that's when, within, seems like 10 minutes, people just started showing up.
Yeah.
And
people that we don't know. We still don't know their names.
Yeah. And there was one guy who was just sort of the in charge man. And we're both standing there just, where do you start,
Yeah.
And he's got kids, youth groups from churches, ripping out our wet carpet and hauling it out and picking up our furniture and walking out the door with it and sitting it out in the yard. It's just kind of all happening around us, just immediately.
And this was on Monday morning.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, the rains stopped Monday morning, didn't it? Didn't it
The
stop?
sun was out.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful day.
It was sometime early, or sometime in late Sunday night is when it ended, right?
Yeah. And the water went down pretty fast in our case.
Yeah. Well, just like Harold was telling us earlier, and at my house, once the rain stopped, it just went away.
Yeah.
Which is kind of odd. At my house, we got a lake above us, a 12-acre lake. Then we got about a little small pond below us, and there's a creek that runs through the holler. But once it rains, there's a delayed effect. The rain, the creeks will rise, and they'll stay risen for a while. But in this case, it when it stopped raining, it went away.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing.
One funny thing that I guess it's funny. Monday morning when we went in the house, we live in a one-level brick ranch-style house. And the long hallway that they all have, there's an electrical outlet with a night light. And the water had gotten about that far above the night light. The light was still burning.
I
know.
kind of think that wasn't good.
No.
No, probably not too
I'm
good.
thinking a circuit breaker should have tripped her. So.
Yeah.
And there was a house, about 8 houses down from us
That burned.
that burned, and the fire trucks couldn't even get to it. So they just had to watch it burn.
Yeah, so you guys were really fortunate
Oh,
there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have had fire easy.
Yeah. And what I've heard is that the gas from your gas cans out in the garage will wind up, the gas will float on the water, and then when it gets up to the level of electric circuit,
Ignites.
that's what will start it.
Wow. Okay, so when I get back home, take the gas cans out of the
Put them up
house.
high. Anyway.
Yeah. So now, were you guys in a floodplain?
Yes.
You were?
Yeah,
and
we
and so
knew.
you had insurance?
We had insurance.
We had flood insurance.
Makes
yeah.
us part of the lucky small
Yeah.
group of
Yeah.
people.
I heard it's a very small percentage of
Very
Nashvilleians.
few people had insurance in Nashville,
Well, and there are people,
surrounding counties. Man.
I've talked to people who inquired with Corps of Engineers. And,
Really?
And were told, no, you don't need to get insurance.
Wow.
Like at River Plantation out here.
Did they get it in writing?
I think one of them got that letter in writing. It's going to be interesting to see what comes of that.
Yeah.
And we did not have contents insurance. I think a lot of people
Right.
don't.
Right.
So the stuff's lost.
So you guys were really, really fortunate as it goes.
Oh yeah, we've had many blessings due to this flood. I can't tell you how many blessings we've had because of the flood. And we thought we lost all of our pictures because they were in boxes on shelves low, and they all got saturated. But the people at this church came and got all of our pictures. And the way I heard it, I wasn't able to come over here, but they were just spread out all over the place. So they salvaged a lot.
Wow.
While they're still
wonderful.
wet, you can peel them apart, and dry them back out.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how community and to me that's one of the it's become a theme quickly here, interviewing people, of how the victims of the flood had to sit back and accept the generosity of
Oh, you
others,
had to.
which is an
Absolutely.
uncomfortable thing for us. It's more comfortable for us to give
Absolutely.
than to receive.
But the other part of that is really, I heard this on an interview with the national news. They're talking to a woman. They said, "Now who's that carrying the stuff out of your house?" She said, "Well, I don't know. Just volunteer." Well, you worried about stealing or no? Is there much looting going on? Not that I've heard of. And that's what we had. Total strangers just hauling our stuff out. You feel kind of bad that you're having people do things for you, but you don't worry about them, and
Yeah.
you just immediately feel comfortable with it.
And that's the human spirit, I think. Like we were saying earlier, it's people have this innate drive in them to want to go out and help others in this time of need. And I think that's a real, wherever you stand spiritually, you can't deny the generosity of the local church in a time like this, whatever kind of church it is. It's a real kind of it's the community fire that everybody's drawn to in times of disaster, in times of need, and they're always there. Always there.
Well, it's like in any other realm of life, organization is sometimes a hindrance, but it's just necessary too. It makes things work better.
Yeah.
The idea that everybody's just going to be a Christian on their own, but not have anything to do with any other Christians, that just doesn't work.
No.
know?
You gotta have that fire.
That's right.
You gotta have that fire, and luckily, a lot of times people make fun and laugh about the number of churches we have in Nashville.
Oh yeah.
But in this case, it turned out to be a really good
Sure.
thing. We got plenty of good people and who are willing to come out and help.
Well,
Strangers.
our church here, was just, certainly don't want to say they were the only ones, but we were so involved in helping lots of people, not just our own. And we got a call just almost immediately saying, what do you need? And we said, a couple of churches that are a little closer to where we live are helping us out like crazy. You help the people in Bellevue because we're okay over here.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to get a lot of help from our own church.
Until we moved in last weekend.
And then we
could
got
not have
lots.
done it
Then
without
we got
them. We had lots of help from the people here.
So this flood took place
May
May
1st.
1st, May 2nd.
We've been in our house 2 nights, and this
We
is
just got
And this is
This
almost
is,
6 months
yeah.
Yeah.
to the day.
It's been a long journey. We've been sleeping on a mattress on the floor for 4.5 months.
We called it the dorm life. We were in the Vanderbilt area.
Man, you guys have been partying, throwing down,
Oh, yeah.
reliving your youth. This has really turned into be a good thing for y'all.
Actually, I've been struggling to figure out how to get up off the mattress on the floor and stand up every morning.
You don't need that step down. You
That's right.
need to push up. Well, man, thank y'all for coming here and sharing your story with us. And
Absolutely.
is there anything else you want to add?
Well, thank you for doing this.
Well, it's the least we can do. It's the least we can do. We're really fortunate that we didn't have a lot of damage and people. I think it's our job now, in what little way we can, to let people know that there's struggles still going on. There's people who have been displaced. Up to 2 days ago, people were still displaced, going to be
Oh,
displaced.
going to be for a long time still.
There's people, over 100 kids homeless in Nashville right now. There's a girl we heard of who has a disabled child. She has a home. She can't get back in the home. She has to still pay for this child's medical condition, and there's people who had a home. Now their home's destroyed. They didn't have insurance. Now they have to rent a house and still pay that note and pay for rebuilding their house. Unbelievable thing. It's one of the biggest natural disasters ever hit America.
It is.
And people don't realize that. So if we can just shed a little bit of light on that and just show that. And another thing is that disaster just strikes through all levels of class. It's
sure.
everybody gets affected.
Well, and in this case too,
that pulls people together.
I guess because low-lying areas are everywhere, and the river, several rivers run everywhere. Almost every day, somebody will say, "Well, I didn't know yours was flooded." And there was about 24 houses, I think, in our neighborhood, just a little pocket. But there's little pockets like that just all over the place that
All over.
you just may have never even heard about yet.
We had no idea of the damage because we lost power, and I was enjoying the loss of power. All the lights were out. And
Camping out.
And so it gets real quiet around the house, and I get a kick out of that, and I'm like, man, we'll get some board games, we'll get some oil in the lanterns, we'll chill out and be family time, And then so a couple days later, we had an interview over here in Bellevue. We went through Plantation,
River Plantation.
River Plantation.
It was the worst.
Could not believe
It
it.
was the worst. Just the worst.
And they had the traffic cut off, but we saw, and we were late for this radio show we were doing, and we saw cars cut through. I was like, well, I'm gonna just cut through there, We made the turn, and that neighborhood was completely,
Oh yeah.
utterly destroyed. It was like a hurricane came through there, and I'm sure people lost their lives over there. I think there were some retired people over there. So.
Yeah. It's
a
about
couple
40
tried to-
families that go to this church.
Really?
Yes, they lost everything. And many of them were retired. Really sad.
That one couple was going to try to drive out through the water, and a girl that goes to church with us here was standing in her front yard saying, "Don't try to drive through it." They drove into it.
They both died.